I think it also reminds Milan fans, do not take Gigio Donnarumma for granted, because when you have a keeper who I think is world-class for now 5 seasons, you get used to a certain quality of play from your goalkeeper. And I actually remember talking to Alessandro Nesta when he was the head coach of Miami in NASL, and he was saying that in his playing days, when you know that you have a keeper who is mistake-prone behind you, as a center back, you fundamentally play in a much different style. You can take those chances if you know you have a Donnarumma behind you, because you think you have a last line of defense to bail you out. But if you have someone like Tatarusanu, this affects, and I'm not saying that Tatarusanu is a bad keeper. He was actually one of the best keepers in Ligue 1 when he was at Nantes. He was a former Fiorentina player. He's someone who's always struggled on high balls, and he was swatting at butterflies. I have no idea what he was thinking he was doing when he came out for that corner. But this fundamentally changes every single defender as well, where suddenly they're playing a little bit more cautiously, because they know that if they make a mistake, is the goalkeeper going to be there to bail you out? And I'm so glad that you brought up the penalties. They weren't soft penalties. They were never penalties in a million years. It was so egregious. And I'm so glad that Serie A once again has taken a hard stance on referees who screw up that badly, because with VAR, there's simply no more excuse. And it isn't just the referee Giacomelli, or should I call him by his pseudonym on Facebook, Jack O'Melly, where he had a Francesco Totti profile photo on his burner account. He was suspended now for 2 games. Nasca, who's a Serie B ref, where I don't even think they have VAR. He was in charge of VAR. Clearly was on his phone doing something else. Because if you're paid that money to do a job that you've now been practicing for many years, and everyone in the world sees that those 2 penalties were not penalties, the second one was a classic makeup call, how can you be in that position and make such, it's not even a gray area, right? Because we have gray areas now on handballs, on penalties in the box. There was no gray area. It wasn't a soft penalty. It was never a penalty. I thought it was one of the worst refereeing performances that I've ever seen in my life. And that's saying something, because we've seen some shockers in Serie A, but nothing like that in recent times.
Don't forget the phantom goal, Matteo.
You're going way back, though. You're going back like almost a decade.
Yeah, that is true. That is almost a decade. I think also it's really strange, because obviously Donnarumma right now is trying to get a new contract. And I think it's almost a blessing in disguise, because if there was ever anything that showed you how important he is to a team, then it was this match against Roma. Now they're like, how much do you want? Here you are, because it is also, like you said, it's about communication. It's about the confidence that he gives to the back line. It's about how they all talk, and he has this bizarre way, Donnarumma, when he speaks. It's almost like Darth Vader. When he's like asking for how many people he wants in his back line, he's like, tre, and you're like, what's going on?
It's very intense. Like, it is.
The way that he speaks, he is such an intense character for somebody so young and good at what he does, but he is so important to that side. And like you said, his absence is obviously what led this Milan side to concede 3, the first time they've done so this really under Stefano Pioli this season. So it's been incredible how much they fell apart at the back, but it is bad refereeing, sadly, that ruined this game, because it's 2 sides that are so young and so full of attacking talent. And it was still a very enjoyable game regardless of that. But I think that, while we can talk about all the things that went wrong in the back or went wrong for Roma, the beauty of it is that it's still Dzeko and Zlatan Ibrahimovic that continue to impress us at the highest level, being the 2 veterans in the side. And it's another brace for Ibra. He managed to get 2 goals against Bologna, 2 goals against Inter, and another 2 goals against Roma. I mean, he loves to score against Roma. And really, I mean, if Roma didn't have Dzeko, a guy that just pulls everything together, just imagine he left them and went to Juventus. I just feel like he's so important for Roma that Milik just cannot offer you all of this. Maybe he's great, one of the best finishers in Serie A, but Dzeko does so much for a team that I cannot imagine one can live without him.
Yeah, 2 of the vets really standing out there. Just to go back to what Matteo was saying, just to clear it up for anybody who's not sure. The 2 referees that he was mentioning have reportedly been suspended for a month. And that comes from the refereeing designator, Nicola Rizzoli. So that's something that they have been punished for those who are upset about those decisions.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.